Hey, what's going on, guys? Biz here once again. So this is going to be the first official build diary update for my Sunder build that I was talking about pre-league start. You may be thinking, Fizz, why are you so low on the ladder? Fizz, why are you only level 90? It's been 5 days. Well, I ended up dying twice. My first death has been everywhere by this point. The one shot from the Foundry boss. Or rather his pet, I guess. And then my second death, I haven't uploaded to this channel yet, but I will. It was a death in Heist. Basically, my logout macro, it was like a mixture of like mechanical failure, and then panic on my part because of the mechanical failure. So I was trying to farm Anomalous Sunder. I was like level 93 or something, like halfway through, I think, or somewhere around there. I was level 93, somewhere in 93. And I was in a Grand Heist, and it had a bunch of crappy gems. So I was like, oh, I'll just grab this chest over here then to proc the alarm instead of grabbing one of these gems that I know I'm not going to use. And they were all low quality, so I couldn't like, you know, vendor for GCP or anything. I'd rather just chance opening a chest. Well, I opened the chest and it happened to be on a minefield. So the minefield immediately, for some reason, when I grabbed the chest, the whole minefield turned on. And 2 like instantly exploded under me. Took me to like 3k HP with my molten shell up. And then I start mashing log out, right? Because it just scared the shit out of me. So I try to log out. Like, oh my god, my health is gone. I try to log out. And then you'll see me in the VOD. I look over because I go to look at chat to see people's reactions to it. And then when I start to look back at the screen, I realize I'm still logged in. And I'm like, oh my god, why am I logged in? So then I try to like log out more. And then I like slap my keyboard and I try to Alt F4 and none of it works. You'll see like with LutBot you have like shit like this. Wait, hold on. I'll explain that later. Okay, so I forgot someone actually whispered to me. Someone that totally frazzled my brain. Anyway, so if you're holding down control, it'll do chat commands like that. So I'm like trying to hit my life flask and stuff, and it's trying to whisper nobody because control 1 with LutBot, like control 1, 2, 3, that's trade macro responses to people on the logout macro. And I couldn't use a life flask or anything. Alt F4, if you guys are wondering, don't be like me. So basically my logout macro like stuck. It had my... this isn't necessarily the fault of LutBot, I believe. It is some weird interaction that LutBot or auto hotkey has with my keyboard, because sometimes it will stick my alt or my control for no reason when I'm playing PoE specifically, using LutBot, which is the logout macro. So it's some weird interaction there with my keyboard, and so I would, you know, I was trying to Alt F4, and fun fact, if you hold Control Alt F4, your game doesn't Alt F4. So then I was just totally screwed. So then I ended up, because I freaked out and I ended up accidentally hitting my movement ability, I leap slammed over like 1,000 mines and got destroyed. So that was, the technical failure kind of sucks. And then the panic on top of it is what got me killed, because if I had just stayed calm, then I could have just left the heist, or, you know, like I could have gotten out of that situation 100%. At the very least, I could have, you know, escaped, log out to character menu. But unfortunate line of events there. So that character's dead. So started again. Been going pretty casual with it this time. I've just been tired the past few days after the first big blast on league start. So this is the first official Sunder build diary, right? Character's level 90, about a third of the way through the level. There is one sad part. On my last character, I actually got the Helm enchant while leveling him. So it's a little bit depressing playing without the Helm enchant, because now I need Anomalous Sunder for my Sunder to be as good as it was on my last character, who didn't even have Anomalous Sunder. That's a weird feeling that I'm trying to not think about and get depressed. Anyway, character is blast, and it's been super fun. Fun fact, I have actually spent over 500, 600, 700 fusings this league and have not gotten a 5 link yet. Every 5 link that I've gotten, and on my last character I had a 6 link, were just from corrupted strong boxes. So I have not 5-linked anything this entire league, and I have spent all currency I'm getting on linking. Like you see, I don't have any jewelers. I full liquidate and then go for links. I've not 5-linked anything raw. That 5-link 6-socket chest piece you saw in my stash was enough. I got that from Heights. I picked it up off the ground. I can't 5-link anything. I'm such an outlier at this point. I feel I've got my tinfoil hat on, like they nerfed link chances because they put tainted fusings back in the game or something. I don't know. I'm like full crazy mode because I have not ever had this much trouble linking something. And you're like, Fizz, you spent like 600 fusings. Why didn't you just bench it? Well, it's like sunk cost fallacy, right? Like after I've spent that many fusings, and most of the time it's in groups of like 30 to 40 fusings, because that's normally like I feel pretty confident that I can get a 5-link in that amount of fusings. You know, I'll get like 30 fusings or something, and then I'll go in and I'll hit it, and then I won't have any, and you know, and then we go again, and that's just how it works. And it's not worked actually so far. That's really depressing. I ended up on my last character. It was farming T16s, no issue, but this character now is moving into higher reds, as you can see. Last character I ended up dropping Impaler on T16s and T15s just because I felt like I was killing the map boss a little bit slow. I had like a 650 PDPS axe on him, and my Rage Vortex was on a 4-link. So like my biggest burst, you know, the Intimidating Cry Rage Vortex for killing bosses, map bosses, was like not doing it. I mean, it was still fine, but it felt a little slow for me personally killing the map bosses. I don't like spending, you know, like 10 seconds on a map boss. So I unspec'd Impaler just to have faster. The clear got worse. The killing, you know, cracked essences and map bosses sped up a lot to the point where they just basically instantly fell over, which is a very good look on a 4-link, I will say. So right now I'm still on Impaler, but I'm only in like T12, T13, T14s. T14s are the highest I've done on this character so far, so I'm not at like high reds, super high reds, getting ready to be today. So we'll see if Impaler sticks around or goes away. So I guess first things first, I will just go over passive tree and small changes. Right now I'm path through the right side of martial experience. I will probably end up going through the left side because of that increased leech that you get from the left side, but right now I just really needed the passives. I'm currently testing out grabbing brinksmanship. This is simply due to me being so used to playing with the fast Sunder that now I don't want to play without the fast Sunder. So I just spec'd this last night. I've only done like 2 or 3 maps on it. If you're in sand stance, this gives 2 radius to your shockwaves. So my shockwaves in sand stance are normally 16. They go to 18 with this. So I just wanted to test and see how it felt, see if it feels good. It is noticeable, I will say that, but noticeable enough, like good enough to sacrifice 3 passives in a build that's already kind of passive starved. I don't know. Other than that, everything is exactly the same as the PoB, with one other exception, and that is this wheel here. So I've taken Steadfast with Fortify on hit, and that's because I ended up getting a 6-link quite early on my first character, and I guess my second character actually, and I couldn't sustain the mana cost. And you guys know, like, early league was a shit show. You couldn't really get like any currency or anything. It's not great now, but it's a little bit better. But I just couldn't, it was too hard to get gear that was good enough to Elrion craft. Like I couldn't, my rings sucked and I had no open prefixes and I couldn't just craft new ones. I was in, you know, high reds with like some gear that I had an axe. Like my belt was like from Act 4 or something. Like I had multiple pieces from axe. So I just didn't have Elrion crafts on my gear and it was a little bit too tight. I was too low level to run it. So I tried running Lifetap. So, Lifetap actually gives you the same amount of damage as Fortify does. There's literally no difference between the two. So what I did was I culled, on my PoB, I culled 5 points. I had to get 5 points to fit this in. And this will basically give you Fortify. So this gives you Fortify for 11 seconds, and technically you get 21 instead of 20. It's 1 additional less damage, I guess. But you get Fortify for 11 seconds. It lasts a lot longer, and then you get to use Lifetap instead. Which means this actually has like the added benefit of technically you can at least fit in 1 Kalandra ring if you get a crazy one, you know, like 150 life, blah, 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 whatever. So theoretically, any power that you did lose from losing like a Destroyer or something, like 2 passives here, or whatever you decide to cull off the tree, Could theoretically be gained back through the Kalandra craft if you get a good piece of gear. At the very least, it does relieve a lot of gearing pressure. These are leftover rings from my last character. I don't before I swapped. I don't need Elveron craft. So I think I need maybe one right now. But yeah, you don't really need Elveron crafts. It would be maybe one if you did. But it relieves a lot of pressure here. It makes it a lot easier to craft your rings and your amulet endgame for fitting in your endurance charge crafts. So that's really nice. So that's the Lifetap change. Feels really good too, just being able to spam, because you have so much you have so much life regen, especially when you're not generating rage, that it has no cost. And when you are generating rage, it hits and you leech, and there's nothing, everything's exactly the same. Other than that, everything on the tree is completely identical to what you saw in the POB that I went over, because again, I did test this extensively before league start, so I was pretty confident going in everything would be fine. I will say, if you drop if you guys just want to zoom, if you drop Great Old One's tentacles, I did test this. You can throw this in, and with Impaler, it is crazy. It's like having a cultist pops, kind of. You'll attack one line of enemies and everything on the whole screen basically explodes, especially when you're in sand stance. So it's nice, but like overall right now, like I'm sure you guys know, PoE's not in the greatest spot, especially when it comes to like currency drops and crafting in the game. So I'm struggling. Like my character is significantly weaker than he would be currently in 3.18. So I just care more about like having defensive stats on my equipment here, like life, spell suppression, life regen, stuff like that. So I'm opting not to use them. If this was 3.18 and capping spell sup wasn't so insanely hard, I would probably use a clear speed supplement in the glove slot just for like general mapping, because why not, right? You don't need any of this though, but it will definitely, if you just want to map fast, it will definitely help you. You could also use Asanos Gentle Touch if you want to. If you have an Ashes of the Stars, you could actually, if your damage is okay, you could drop Blood and Sand and use Herald of Ash. That's probably the worst of the three options, but it will still give you that thick overkill damage. It will supplement Clear Coil. So if people wanted to map faster, then that's stuff you could do there. Anyway, moving on to the gear. So I had an axe here that was potentially 1000 PDPS. Unfortunately, when I hit it with my Ashling Slam, it didn't take the elemental damage with attacks off. It took my T3 hybrid fizz off. So instead of having a 200% increased fizz weapon, I now have a 100% increased fizz, because I finally dropped an Exalt to hit this. And I literally bottom rolled. So the Exalt Fizzcraft can roll between 100% increased fizz and 129% increased fizz. So I literally got the worst possible luck you could possibly have. Anyway, aside from that, it wasn't too bad. Even though the Ashling hit took my hybrid percent fizz, it did give me increased attack speed while a rare unique enemy is nearby. Now it is important that the increased attack speed conditional is not the same as increased attack speed. So base increased attack speed, if you don't know, will increase the base attack speed of the weapon. As you can see, there are 1.46 attacks per second. Whereas conditional attack speeds, like when you're a rare or unique enemy, is like grabbing attack speed on the tree. So basically, it's not nearly as strong, is what I'm saying. It is still really nice. However, currently this item at 20% qual is like 630 PDPS. That's not factoring in the 30% extra attack speed I'm getting anytime I'm near a rare or unique enemy. So in reality, it's probably relatively close to 700 PDPS. When I can actually get another Exalt and hit it onto this axe and hopefully don't bottom roll 2 times in a row, since Divines are dead, then, hopefully I get a decent fizz roll on that, and then it will be well over 700 PDPS. Which is good enough for all content in the game, but I definitely am going to want a way better axe than this by the time I'm done. So moving on from there, my gloves, you already saw them earlier. Basically, life regen is a very good stat for Rite of Ruin builds, because the best way I can explain it is it's like baby RF in a way. When you have a lot of rage, you degen life quite rapidly, which right now in the build, I'm slightly positive on regen. I do not degen life, but I only gain around like 50 or so a second. So it's not a ton. So any life regen you can get flat on gear is going to be really good. I almost had a perfect belt yesterday. It had T2 life from Rog. It had T2 life tier 1. It was a leather belt. Tier 1 life regen per second that max rolled. So it was like 130 or something life per second. with 1 T2 resistance roll and strength. It rolled like tier 2 strength, which means it would have had an extra like 25 life on it. So basically it was like a leather belt with like 150 life on it, 130 life regen res. But the problem was that the suffixes were filled. It had stun, reduced stun duration or something like that as a suffix. And it's like, well, I can't do that. I need to open suffix for a chaos craft. So then I hit to remove a mod or whatever, or I hit one of them and it ended up deleting all the good stuff. So I almost had a good item. RNG Gamba crafting. That's what the game is right now. It kind of sucks, but whatever. Anyway, so I have these gloves. They're pretty decent. We have 40 strength, so they effectively have 100 life. We got a little bit of spell sup on them. Life regen is good as well. And then a open slot to craft +1 to socketed AoE gems and ink AoE. Ink AoE is nice, and then socketed AoE gems, you throw your auras in there, so you know you get better pride, better determination, etc. Moving on to the chest piece. Just a random piece of crap chest piece I picked up out of a chest. It happened to get a decent life roll, some decent resist, and the 6 PDR on there, the physical damage reduction, is nice as well. Not a whole lot to say here. Moving on to the helmet, we have basically I'm using this simply for the chaos res. A lot of chaos res on this helmet, but it did roll tier 2 life, I believe. Yeah, tier 2 life with chaos res and then an open suffix for a hybrid craft, which is really nice. The rest of the stats aren't too impactful. On the boots, these are probably my best my best piece of gear right now overall, maybe aside from the axe. But we have tier 3 life, I believe. Tier 2 life, excuse me. Tier 2 life on the boots with a good roll for life regen, which again is important. We got 2 resistances, even though one's a little bit low, and an open prefix, which is what we want for cannot be chilled move speed craft. So it's really depressing trying to craft boots on attack builds, and then it's an amazing pair of boots, but it rolls with movement speed on it, which for a lot of builds would be pretty good, but for an attack build is pretty bad because you need no move speed on it, so you can put cannot be chilled, because that's really, really important for attack builds. So moving on to the belt that we're using right now, it's still okay. We have some life on here with tier 3 life. We got a good armor roll on there as well, plus 300 armor, and then just, you know, resistances. It'd be a leather belt. And then I guess finishing off the axe here, it is tier 2 flat fizz, bench crafted on exalt, percent fizz damage. And then we have tier 1 attack speed that's max rolled, and a ashling unveil for increased attack speed when near a unique enemy or rare enemy. And then moving on to the rings, we have like some, this ring's pretty crap. It's basically, it's tier 1 life. That's what this ring is, right? It's tier 1 life, you get a little bit of res there, and that's it. This amethyst ring is a little bit better. It's not tier 1 life, it's like tier 3 life. Oh no, this is an unveil. So this is a unveil for life and mana regen. And then it's got 40 strength on it again, which is additional 20 life, so it is effectively like a tier 1 life roll. However, it's a amethyst ring that has 2 decent, I guess, resistance rolls and an open prefix for a beneficial craft there. And then amulet's nothing special. It's just an amulet that has decent resistances on it, and then I benched on life. That's really all it is. I have cleaving anointed right now just because I had the oil for it, and I wanted that intimidate while clearing, because, you know, you throw the Sunder in, there's a bunch of shockwaves. The chance that, you know, mobs that need to be intimidated are going to get intimidated while clearing. And then for map bosses, you know, like you throw the Rage Vortex out, or anything super tanky, you throw the Rage Vortex out, and they're guaranteed intimidated. So just some extra damage there to help. Since I'm, you know, very low on links with my damage, and I'm still running Impaler, so single target is a lot lower than it would be if I wasn't using Impaler to supplement clear. Now, with that out of the way, we'll go through the links real fast. So my links in the helmet, and a lot of these are just thrown in, like they don't need to be linked up or together. Frost Blink, faster attacks, leap slam, blood and sand. In my boots, I'm using Rage Vortex, melee fizz, pulverize, and close combat. In my gloves, with my +1, I'm running Determination, Multiple Totems, Ancestral Protector, and Ancestral War Chief. That's simply because I can't fit in my other auras in here because I need a 3-link for my totems. So I need a 4-link for my casting damage taken, I need a 4-link for my Rage Vortex, and I need a 3-link for my totems. And this is simply due to me not having a 5-link on my axe right now. Once I get a 5-link on my axe, all this would be resolved. But for right now, I can only have determination in my +1 because it's the most important one, right? Now, in the axe, I have Molten Shell linked up with Vulnerability linked with Lifetap and cast when damage taken. The Lifetap is simply because Vulnerability when on a cast when damage taken setup costs a lot of mana, so it's basically just enabling me to run the curse right now. That's why I'm running it. You know, again, for additional damage on map bosses. And then in our last 2 slots here, we have Pride and Dread Banner. Nothing super fancy on the sockets. With Sunder and the main one, I have Divergent Sunder. Sadly, I got a primer grading lens and it didn't hit. I have done so much heist and I still don't have Anomalous Sunder. I'm very sad about it. Very sad. Anyway, close combat, Pulverize, Melee Fizz with Lifetap. And in my extra socket over here, I have Intimidating Cry since I'm not yet using Unset, simply because I don't need to because my Rage Vortex is still on a 4-link. Anywho, that's everything there with the links. On my Flasks, I'm running typical stuff as you do. Running a Jade Flask with Reduce Effect on Curse, running a Quicksilver with Immune to Freeze, running Quartz Flask with Reduce Effect of Shock. Granite has evasion rating. I do want increased armor on this. I just haven't hit it yet with my alterations. And my Divine's not perfect, or my Divine Life Flask is not perfect. I have CB immune that I got on through Beast Crafting and 50% recovered instantly. I prefer just the pure instant life blast, but that's what I got for now. All labs done. I think that should go without saying, being level 90 and whatever. I did them as soon as I got to maps. Overall, character's been a blast to play, very fun. I think it is a testament to how good the build is that with how weak player power is right now, especially in HCSSF, that it's still blasting content pretty comfortably. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot to say. I tested a lot before league start. It felt fine then. It feels even better now, even with the nerfs. No, in a lot of ways, this build was technically, even though your Sunder wave went way slower, this build is technically stronger in 3.18, which is a little bit weird to me. It was stronger before it got buffed because of, you know, the other game changes. But I think that's everything with the character. The only big change was the Lifetap thing. I don't have a lot else to say. Everything's going great. If you want to see this build live, feel free to check me out over on Twitch. I will be live as soon as this video goes up on YouTube. Just blasting. Hopefully by the end of the day, the next goal is on the character. Really need to get that Anomalous Sunder. Once we get Anomalous Sunder, I really need a 5-link. I'm kind of like tapping out here. Like, I don't want to go and fight like Exarch and Eater, even like the quest versions of them, before I get a 5-link. You know, like that, like doing that on 4-link would just suck. Eater is whatever, but Exarch would definitely suck to do that fight early on. I also think it would be probably a little bit rough on a Rite of Ruin build. I don't know. I have killed Exarch a bunch before on Berserker and even Rite of Ruin Berserker, but not since they buffed him. So I don't. I'm not really sure what the duration of the fight would be, right? Anyway, yeah, just musing here. Other than the Vuln and the cast when damage taken setup, by the way, before you've done your Uber lab, you can actually use Warlord's Mark, or even if you want to use it afterwards. Warlord's Mark, you put this in, and when you stun stuff, which you will, because you're like killing them in one hit, you will get a bunch of rage. It'll also give you an endurance charge while clearing. I guess also I should probably do a we'll do Peninsula since it's I'll run to the boss to kill it. I forgot I started this build diary and didn't do like a map showcase or something. Yeah, so the way I start maps is I'll hit the first pack to like kind of get Fortify up and running, and then I'll look for like a magic pack or something, and then pop my Intimidating Cry to get my rage up, so I don't need to you know, spend a lot of time generating it. Okay. So he rolled out of it, but you know, it's okay. Like the DPS, even in like T14s right now, depending on the map boss, right? Depending on the map boss, they still die pretty fast, especially if you keep them in your intimidating rage vortex the whole time. But like if you unspec Impaler, then they just like instantly die. Like the damage is very high on the build. It's just effectively on tanky targets, you just don't have Impale, which is like half the build's damage. Which is just how Impaler works, right? Like that's the attack. I didn't really plan around being in high reds on a 4 link, so you know that part kind of sucks. Losing the harvest craft, and then I guess just not having currency in general to like really roll stuff, and then on top of having bad RNG, just it's a lot of suck, right? It is a lot of suck layered on suck. But yeah, it maps completely fine. I do miss the Sunder wave speed is that I had on the last character from having the lab enchant, but it is what it is. Let's see, still handles essences fine, especially after the HP nerfs. Yeah, it's completely fine. I've no real complaints with it. Most of my complaints are with the the general game state and my bad RNG. So the build's pumping. It's fine. If you're like me and you're playing an SSF and you've had bad RNG or whatever, then simply just unspec Impaler. Your clear will go down a little bit. You may have to attack 1 or 2 more times to clear like a screen or a pack. But you will basically start insta-killing map bosses, so just depends on what you need. But if I'm in T16s, I'm probably gonna have to unclick this if I don't have a 5 link yet. Just that's how the game is. Anywho, that's everything. Maybe another video out tomorrow, potentially for Sunder, and then just on regarding some of the changes, because I want to feel out. The Arch&M patch hasn't come through yet today, so I'm not going to talk about it yet, but I want to talk about it, like all the changes we've got in the past few days since I made my first impressions video. Kind of talk about how it's changed the game for me in terms of how it feels to play. But I'm going to wait for Arch&M to come through today before I really talk on any of that. So, other than that, I think that's everything that, at least YouTube content wise, that I have planned currently in the very near immediate future. If you guys want more physics after you watch this video, like I said, live over on Twitch when this video goes up. If you want to support me in any other ways, like the video if you like it. You can thumbs down if you didn't like it. Share the video. Discord, Twitch, Twitter, the usual links are always down in the description below. And I believe that's everything from me. Not a whole lot today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, don't rip, and hopefully everyone's still having fun. All 12 of us that are still playing the game. Peace, guys. I'll see you in the next one.